Okay, so Iona, first of all, I'm going to go through my icebreaker questions that I ask all of my guests. Try and say the first thing that comes to your mind.
All
Don't
right.
think too much about it.
Okay.
What is one thing that sets your soul on fire?
Supermarkets.
Okay, what about them?
I just fucking love supermarkets.
The big ones.
The big ones,
Big
they just
Tez.
calm me down. And yeah, I guess you could say they set my soul on fire.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Nice. No explanation needed. Next question. What is the last photo that you took?
I was on my first London roof terrace last night and I took a photo because I was like, what the fuck, this is crazy.
Nice. Where was it?
Angel, literally just down the road from here.
Okay, what's the name of the bar?
It was not even a bit, it was my friend had a roof terrace. I was like, fuck, I made it. So yeah, had to take a picture of that. But most of them are with my cat, obviously.
Okay, nice. Next question. What's something that people frequently misunderstand or get wrong about you? I feel like there's probably a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's people think that I hate all men, which is not like technically true. But yeah. That's pretty much the main one.
I get exactly the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of nuance involved in our line of work, and like the internet and nuance is not really like a.
That's
thing.
why I have a podcast.
Yeah, set the record straight.
Okay, so the last question is: finish the sentence. I'm still a work in progress when it comes to
myself. Fucking hell, that's so deep. But I'm constantly I feel like it's so important. You've got to constantly be growing, evolving. I'm still a work in progress when it comes to also organisation. I'm trying to fight the Gemini in me, but it's not working. So I need to work on that. There's actually a lot. Let's not pull at that thread.
Okay, so you don't want to go too deep in that one. It's interesting because I feel like you and I can confidently say that we've inadvertently caused a lot of breakups on the internet.
Oh my God, so many. And on one hand, I'm happy about it. On the other hand, I'm like, that's a bit sad. But
So what I find interesting about like the similarities with our work is that we're not telling people to do anything. We're talking about emotional abuse, emotional manipulation in our own ways. And what I love about you is that you do it with such comedy. And also, you're not even saying anything about the men. You're just you're holding the mirror up.
Yeah, they're speaking for themselves. They're literally like, I'm not doing anything.
So could you give an intro to your account to anyone listening who's not aware of Beam Me Up Softboi?
My account is people send in screenshots of soft boys. I'm doing quotation marks because a lot of fuck boys get sent in as well. It's really it's just all
and there is a distinction.
There is a distinction. We'll get to that.
Okay.
But people send them in and then I just pick the funniest ones and post them. And I started it to have a laugh and then it's just become this resource, I guess, for people who don't really know, they might be feeling alone, they're being texted all of this bullshit and they're like, am I the only one this is happening to? And then they realise that they're not. And then, they dump him, which is great.
The men are so persistent as well in these screenshots.
Oh, my God, always.
They're so persistent. And it's almost like, when you're being harassed on the street and the man tries, goes, oh, darling, oh, you look fucking gorgeous. Yeah. And then you walk past them, ignoring them. They go, oh, you fucking bitch. And it's the switch from being the most desirable thing on fucking earth to the most awful piece of trash is based on their rejection. And we see that in the messages that you get from people.
It's really exciting. It's not exciting, but it's for the first time, we can see it happening. It's like being a fly on the wall because men have been doing this shit since men have existed, but we've never had the ability to just see what they're doing.
They did it privately.
Yeah, they did it privately. We had no idea what was going on. Whereas now, they're being exposed. I actually saw a really interesting some bullshit article recently that was
interesting bullshit article.
It was on some website and it was he was saying the rise of lonely single men, and it was as relationship standards have heightened, men are not being able to keep up and they are going to die alone because of it, oh, poor men. And it's no, we are literally just asking for basic respect. It's ridiculous.
I saw the article. It said something as women's standards are rising, less women are getting into relationships with men or something. Yeah. And it's just so comical because the guy was using it as this bad thing. As women's standards are rising, they're not liking us anymore. And it's are you hearing yourself expose the very issue? If there are less women in relationships with men and more women being single, less women having children, marriage, because women are demanding a higher standard for treatment, can you understand that the problem is how men treat women and not that women are too uptight?
Literally, honestly, it really makes me mad. And it's just Yeah, I mean, I have a lot to say, obviously, about the subject, but it's like, getting back to like fuck boys and soft boys, I have this theory which I go quite deep, like I got unnecessarily deep into in my book, but it's like,
That's think what a book's for, babe.
Yeah,
you go
literally just ranting. It's like the fuck boy and the soft boy are like not so different. I think the soft boy has kind of been born from the fuck boy.
Okay, can you explain what a soft boy is to anyone who doesn't know?
So a soft boy is like, he's on the surface, he's just like your alternative guy. We all love him. He's wearing docks. He's wearing a little Carhartt beanie. And
dangly earring.
Yeah, dangly earring. Oh, the neck chain, all of that stuff. And he has like the same music taste as you. So you're like, fuck, let's wed. Yeah. My whole account really focuses on the dickheads. And the dickheads, they use their feelings in their quotation marks emotional literacy to try and like kind of make out that they're not like other guys to whoever they're dating, and they like wheedle their way in that way, and then they still fuck you over. Like at best it's fucking you over, at worst it's like serious emotional manipulation. And they kind of use this progressive language that's like, there's one screenshot that got sent in that was like, if you were a feminist, you'd show me your boobs. And it's like, it's ridiculous.
Wait, what was his reasoning behind that?
Because free the nipple, and like, I'm not a misogynist. Let me get that straight. I'm not a misogynist, but if you were a feminist, then that's basically it.
Oh my God.
It's fucked.
So like using women's empowerment and women's movements against women to coerce them.
Yeah, and even women's just like emotional literacy. So I'm kind of seeing like, with TikTok and the internet, women are getting emotionally kind of clued up. Like, we're seeing all this stuff about like psychology, like trauma, your childhood, like relationships, everything, and we're learning all of this stuff. And I think, and it is a small proportion of men, but the men who are dickheads are seeing this and they're thinking, well, I've got to get on that level so that I can like wheedle my way in. And I think that it's like the next like iteration of the fuck boy is the soft boy, because he will still fuck you over. He'll just do it in like a really sneaky way.
It's clever. It's almost like the fuck boy's evolution.
Yeah.
Like men aren't changing, they're just evolving.
They actually aren't. And I again say this in the book, like, there's always been men who like, so I go into like, in the 90s, for example, and I only know this from sitcoms, but like there's like the jerk, and he's like Joey from Friends or Barney from How I Met Your Mother or whatever, and he just like sleeps with women and never calls them back, because that's what that era was. It was like, you had the phone and you wouldn't call them. And then before that, there was like Don Draper from Mad Men, like he was, and then there was like Henry VIII. Like, they've been doing this for a long time. They just have different disguises that they use.
Yeah, they went from killing their wives to ghosting them.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Oh my God, I've said exactly already. It's true.
What's the difference between a fuckboy and a soft boy?
A fuckboy is a little bit more direct about it.
Okay.
Also, aesthetically, he's different. He's wearing different things.
Yes, okay.
He might shop at like...
You can spot them.
Yeah, you can spot them.
You can also spot a soft boy as well. I feel.
Definitely. But like Love Island, like the lads, like the
that's a fuckboy.
That's a fuckboy, and I feel like I mean, me personally anyway. Like I love like a fuckboy and a soft boy. They're a lot of fun sometimes, but you kind of know what you're getting into with a fuckboy. Like you're like, I know what's going to happen here.
So the soft boy, in your book, you mention about the weaponizes his self-awareness kind of soft boy. So there's so many different types. You've got the wholesome soft boy and the one that weaponizes his self-awareness. Would you say that that's the kind of soft boy then that would be like, you just don't like me because you have an anxious or avoidant attachment style?
Yeah.
And because that's what's happening. I've seen that happen to friends I know, is that they'll say, I'm sorry, I'm just not into you. And then they'll come back with this rebuttal of like, I know what happened with your dad, and like maybe that's probably why you're going through this and you don't like
shut
me.
the fuck up.
And then any woman who perhaps has this, as you say, emotional literacy and knows about attachment styles feels, fuck, oh my God, this guy is so self-aware. Maybe I am avoiding him because of what happened with my dad. And actually he's good. It's so manipulative.
It's so manipulative. And
it makes them harder to spot, right? When they have this language that women we look up to on social media are also using.
Exactly. And it's like, the self-awareness bit as well, they kind of just like have awareness. They're like, it's like being like, oh, I'm such a dickhead, like you should avoid me. And it's like, that is well. Yeah, literally. They are giving us the signs and we're just like, oh no, but like, it's like, I wanted to call the book I Could Fix Him, because you always are just like, he's just enough of a dickhead that like I could.
Yes, yeah. So in my book Girl Crush, I've written a character called Matt, and he is the ultimate soft boy. And he he gets to sleep with women by using feminism and stuff. And I've seen this massive trend, even with my own book, that there are girls who send me men's Hinge profiles on Instagram. They're like, Floss, look at this guy, and he's reading my book on his Hinge profile.
That's mad.
So he'll have a copy of Women Don't Owe You Pretty in his Hinge profile, and I immediately say, red flag.
Yeah, it's gotta be a red flag.
I don't care if it's my book. He's using it to lure you in, and he's the guy that is probably going to mansplain feminism to you and dictate it to you.
Yeah. Oh God, I can't believe that.
So how do you think then? I'm asking myself this question. I don't know the answer. How do you think we're able to discern and use our discernment and our intuition to decide which man is a feminist and which one is a performative feminist who's trying to get us to fuck him?
I struggle with this a lot. Like you can't really tell. Like, and it's like I've not come to a certain decision on it, but at the moment,
let's just unpack.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards. He doesn't say it.
Yeah.
But then if he refuses to say it, that's weird.
Yes. Oh God, the distinction.
Yeah, but if he starts off by being like, oh my God, there was this guy that I was like sleeping with in uni, and I walked into his room and he had a big Pulp Fiction poster, and he had scribbled out the Harvey Weinstein's name.
No.
And I was like, I mean, because I was in uni and I was stupid, I was like, oh, yeah, feminist,
activist,
cute.
my activist boy,
activist king. But I feel like if he's actually a feminist, you'll know, but in a more sneaky way. He won't try and make it obvious. But yeah, I don't really know. What about you?
Yeah, I think for me it's action.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
I haven't dated men for a very long time, so I don't even know what the scope of dating men is like at the moment, just through my friends.
Great.
No, I know, and that's why I've got you here, babes. I can't wait to hear about it all. But I don't know the scope of the landscape of what it looks like to date men, especially on dating apps at the moment. But I hear it through my friends, and I would say it is action and not this overt expression of I'm a feminist. It's that like they're trying to prove something. I had a woman on here called Dr. Romani, and she's like the world's leading expert on narcissistic personality disorder.
Oh, really?
And she uses this great analogy for charisma. She actually doesn't trust charisma. She thinks that anyone who is extremely charismatic is masking something, and that's how you can kind of sniff out a narcissist. And she uses the analogy of it's like when you spray too much cologne, they're masking something. There's too much going on there. So
makes so much sense.
Yeah, so when there's too much, or there's too much of an effort to try and prove themselves, I think for me it would be God, I hate that there's such a distinction, but if I was in a meeting, let's say with men, and a man was like if I was being spoken over and the guy next to me was like, excuse me mate, she wasn't done talking, and then just let me carry on talking, I'd be like, okay cool, he's a feminist. But if he went, excuse me, this woman needs to finish. Men need to stop talking over women.
And then he throws a tantrum. He's like, fuck's sake.
And it's like,
white men like
and then it's like, okay, so it's actually not about protecting me. It's about you looking good.
Yeah.
So there's even a distinction in how the actions are done.
Yeah.
So it is so hard to decipher. I would just say that women need to learn how to listen to their intuition, and that can only come from one, spending time alone with your judgment unclouded by other people. Two, to stop polling every single tiny decision that you make because you outsource your judgment, and then you stop learning to rely on your instincts. And three, there's a book called The Gift of Fear that I've just started reading. Have you ever heard of it?
I've not heard of it, no.
It's by an author called Gavin DeBecker, and it's talking all about, and the man wrote it, and he's pro women and pro feminism, and but he's never said it. He just wrote this book, but I know that he's a fucking feminist, this man. And he talks about the rates of violence and how 96% of all violent crime is committed by men, and we need to talk about that. We can't just keep avoiding it and caveating every sentence with not all men, and then also allowing the conversations for nuance and how men can help. Anyway, the book is all about how women need to listen to their intuition, and he goes through all of these case studies. So he was a child that grew up with lots of violence in the home, and he set up this security measure for presidents to know when someone is going to attack them based on intuition and intelligence.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he says that women inherently know when they're in danger, but we excuse it. So the man offering to help our groceries up, we have a weird feeling about him, but we feel bad for having the weird feeling, and so we wash it away and go, oh, yeah, okay, sure, yeah, thank you. And if we refuse to accept the help, they can go, oh, you too proud? Are you one of those feminists? And then instantly we want to prove them wrong. So we go, oh, no, sorry, you can help me. Even though we have this gut feeling. But basically your gut instinct is an amalgamation of your subconscious picking up on all of these cues that your conscious brain can't pick up so quickly, and it just manifests as a discomfort.
Yeah.
So when you feel uncomfortable about someone, the best thing to do is to listen to that instinct, because at worst you seem rude, at best it saves your life.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's such a good. I'm going to read that book now.
Yeah, I want every single woman on the planet to read it, because too often we dismiss our gut instinct. And when it comes to soft boys, it's funny because the word soft boy, it does sound harmless, doesn't it? But actually it completely deteriorates your self-esteem when you let someone like this into your life.
No, it really does. And that's something that I feel like very passionately about. For people with like, I've been like very open about my mental health and stuff. Like for women with mental health problems and stuff, you can't just like take it lightly. You can't just like let whoever you want into your life, because then you get stuck in this cycle and it goes to shit with one guy, and then like your self-esteem is low, so you like accept like some other shit from some other guy, and then you just get stuck in this cycle. And like it's not a joke. Like I mean, I make it all a joke, but like you actually do have to be quite you have to trust your gut instincts. And then what you said about being alone as well, I think that is so important. That's the only way that you can like, I was on my own for like a year, and that's when I figured out like...
Alone as in single? Or?
Single. Yeah, single. And just like, I also gave up drinking. I was doing a whole soul searching thing.
Yeah.
And like, that's when you figure out, like, I realised then that I didn't know the difference between any of my feelings. So like, I would be feeling like what I thought was like, I really liked this guy, but it's actually just like, most of the girlies know this by this point, but it's like my anxious attachment, that's just being like activated at that point. And like, so you've got a, so
love or dopamine.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the name of your book.
Yeah, and I was so confused, and I was like, oh my God, all this time I've been like looking for the complete wrong thing. And like,
I think a lot of people can relate to the anxious attachment thing and thinking that the chase that's created with someone who is making you chase after them can be confused and conflated for love.
Yeah, exactly. And it's absolutely not. And like, the only way I realised that was when I took a step back and I was like, this clearly isn't working out. But
I think humour is a really good gateway into people understanding these things. Comedians do it all the time in stand-up, and it's like, you're like, oh, fuck, I never thought about that before. And I think you're more open to it when it is funny.
Exactly. And it's, oh my God, I've said exactly so many times. I've been like brainwashed.
Exactly.
No, it is really important. And I do think that, and a lot of girls have said, like, girls or whoever have said, like, this page is like a bit of like a, I'm sure you've had the same thing, like a bit of just like a, like, I don't know, I kind of wish that I had it when I was younger.
A breath of fresh air.
Yeah, a breath of fresh air. And it's just like, makes you realise that you're like, you really don't have to put up with this shit.
I want to talk about nice guys. Let's say that there's also, you know, an enormous population of men who want to do the right thing and are so fucking afraid of making moves or don't want to do the wrong thing and want to wise themselves up. I can imagine it can be quite confusing for some men. And then that opens up the trap for the nice guy.
Yeah.
And the nice guy, can you talk about nice guys? And we don't mean men who are actually nice.
Capital N.
Capital N,
G.
because niceness can also be manipulation if it's not backed by an intention to just do something nice for someone. It's exactly. Niceness in exchange for something.
As a weapon.
Yeah.
It's like, so I've been thinking about this a lot recently. The nice guy is like the typical like, oh, I'm so nice to women, why don't they love me back type thing. And like,
friend zone type guy, or is that different thing?
Friend zone type guy. And like, you see it a lot in popular culture. Almost all of my references come from like Friends, but Ross is like a good example of that. He's just like
perfect.
Just got like, oh, I'm so nice. And in my mind, there's like you said, there's a massive population of men who are genuinely nice and trying to do the right thing. And you have this as at a young age, as a man, you are a nice guy. And my theory is that like, if you can kind of, that's the point where it either goes into like, you just are a nice guy and like, you know, like an actual nice guy, an actual nice person, you can become that. Or, and I think this is why I'm so like not anti-Reddit, but like if you see, or like if you see like a meme on Instagram, if you see content at a young age that makes you think like, oh, maybe like women are bad and I'm nice, then you can kind of go, and that's how the nice guy is born, because it's like you're talking to other men and they're like,
who don't talk to women.
Who don't talk to women. You're like, oh, I don't know why she didn't sleep with you. She's a fucking bitch. And you're like, yeah, she is a fucking bitch.
It borders into the territory of thinking that women owe you their body just because. Or just because you put enough nice tokens into a woman, pussy's going to fall out.
Exactly.
Like, everyone talks about friend zoning and how horrible that is for a guy, but no one talks about a woman who loses who she thought was a friend.
Yeah.
If a woman goes into a situation with a guy thinking that he's her friend, and then he all of a sudden switches it up, or who's this new guy you're dating?
Yeah.
Who's and it's like the woman
fucked.
then loses who she thought was a friend. That's heartbreaking for the woman. It's almost as though this invisible contract has been set up between the guy and the girl that the woman wasn't consenting to, that he thought, if I'm nice enough, if I hang around long enough, she will choose me.
Yeah, because it's like when you realise that was their only intention, like, to begin with, it is heartbreaking. And it's like, it's not like the nice guy is redeemable as long as he's not too deep into like the whole thing. But yeah, the nice guy and the soft boy have a lot of overlap. And it's like, there's one that was like, most of the ones where they don't get replies, when they're like, they'll message them something really nice and like quotation marks nice and be like, oh, you're so beautiful. And then they won't reply for like 8 hours and they'll be like, you're a fucking whore.
Yeah.
And it's like, well,
which one is it?
Yeah,
which one is it?
Exactly.
Yeah, which again reveals that he wasn't being nice. He was being manipulative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It feels like men are kind of shooting themselves in the foot as well, because you have the nice guy, which is what you hear a lot of women refer to men, the specific type of men as. And then you also have the simp, which is what men call other men if they're like being too, like, if they are being genuinely nice. So it's like, if you are genuinely nice, you'll be called a simp by other men. If you're like, it's just like,
what's interesting to me as a bisexual woman is how I mostly date women. Like I said, I am bisexual, but I've not dated men for a while. And what men get called a simp for is stuff that I do for girls in dating.
I love it. I'm like, what? Like, if a guy's not obsessed with me, I'm like, what the fuck?
Like,
what's the point? Yeah, what's the point?
Love letters, flowers, the
like,
works. Like, that's gorgeous. And it's what you deserve.
Exactly. But then, like, that you can't even do that without, like, Yeah, the world is crazy.
I know. Yeah, exactly. So you've got the thing of men. I mean, it must be really confusing because there are so many messages. You've got what women actually want, and then what men are told by other men that women want, which is, they don't like the nice guy. You might as well just like fuck around and do this because the nice guy always finishes last or whatever. Yeah. And then you've got what women actually want, which is care and attention.
You just got to be genuinely nice.
How has starting your page, Beam Me Up Softboi, affected your dating life? What journey have you been on learning about men, and has it changed how you date and use dating apps?
Yeah, completely. And I've only just like kind of linked the two together, like through doing promotion for the book and stuff, because so I started the page and I thought it was like just out of the blue, but now that I think about it, it was very obviously when my first relationship with a soft boy ended. He was a dubstep DJ, he was perfect, he smoked loads of weed, I was like, great.
How long ago was this?
This was like 5 years ago now.
I think that's when, so a girl I was dating, a bisexual woman who had dated trash men, introduced me to your page and we laughed about it together. And it was about that time. Yeah,
it was that time, and it was the late 60s. Everyone was not happy. I was just like seeing all of this shit and didn't learn my lesson at all. Kept on going for the soft boys, the artists, the visionaries, and then at some point it just kind of clicked. Like, now my outlook is much more positive, which you would think that I would become like jaded from looking at all of this shit, but in fact I've just realised like this is bullshit. Like, it's about like, I think at the core of it I've just like gained a lot more self-respect, which is good. So like, because I didn't have any, I'm sure lots, but like I didn't realise, but I actually didn't have any when I was like a teenager. And then like, as so typical early 20s, you just like, you know your worth and stuff. And I just realised, hang on, like I don't have to put up with any of this shit that I was seeing on the page. Like this does not have to be a thing. This can just be like some like part of my past. And I got into, I had a weird phase where I started dating the anti-soft boy, which he just dresses really badly. And it's like,
low-key.
Yeah, low-key. But like
boyfriend.
he kind of, they fucked me over anyway. And then they would just dress badly as well. So I was like, there's no point in any of this. And then I had one situationship. It was very much a situationship. And oh my God,
it was the situation.
The situation.
The situation might as fucking well call it that.
Yeah, literally. And I was like, it had been like, I would call it like non-harmful love bombing. It was like very, when it's very intense very quickly, but I don't think there was any malice in it. And
sure.
it ended. And
someone trying to win over your affection.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then it ended after like a few weeks. He was like, "This is really intense," because when you're not even into it at the beginning, and then they like and then as soon as your guard comes down, they're like.
And you're like, wow.
This is a bit much. I'm like, I didn't even like you, but whatever. And I remember it happened, and I was really hungover on that day. And he called me. He was like, "Can we talk?" I was like, "I'm really hungover. Can we not do this now?" And he was like, "No, I've been stuck inside my own head." And I was like, for fuck's sake, all right, here we go. And he dumped me. And he was like, "This is way too intense." He might be listening to this. I don't know. Shout out. He was like, "This is way too intense. I didn't want something like that, but can you still come over tonight?" Oh. And I was like, no. I blocked him. And then the next day I read Attached, and I was like, oh my God.
Yes, Attached the book.
Attached the book. And I was like, oh my God, I've been doing this all wrong. And since then, it's literally like, it's a game changer. Anyone who hasn't read that book, you just have to do it. Like it's elite. It's maybe less like you find out your attachment style. I feel like it's more suited if you have an anxious attachment style, it's great. If you have an avoidant one, it doesn't go so deeply into that. But anyway, I read that, and now I'm just like, I kind of treat the whole dating thing now as like a game, and it's like very methodical, which seems really sad. But like what's being given to us is this online dating system where you have this algorithm, and like you just have to like play it its own game and be like, okay, I'll go on a date with you, and you. I have like a whole system.
How do you think internet has affected dating culture? Because I think it's given us a massive, just because you're talking about dating apps, it's given us a massive idea of choice. One that's choice. Almost it's illusory. It's not real. Yeah. And it's like the choice paralysis, where we become so overwhelmed with choice that we are less likely to pick someone because there's always another person a swipe away. And that's not groundbreaking. Option. Everyone has said that about dating apps, but that's the truth. It's always a swipe away. And that kind of culture of choice paralysis is enhanced by even things like TikTok. I saw someone saying we're not meant to see this many beautiful people in our lifetimes. Yeah. So, before we'd have like a community of 250 people in our village, and then we'd pick the person that we're most likely. But now it's billions. It's the world, and it's quite overwhelming.
It's so overwhelming. And I think, I don't know, I've not really like unpacked this. I guess now is the time. But I think that you've got to like take a pinch of like how it used to be and like put that into your attitude towards it, which is like, there are lots of people, if you want a relationship, there are lots of people that would be suited to you. And like the whole point is that you find someone and then you put the effort in and you build something together. If you use it as a tool and don't get like addicted to the swiping, which is really difficult because you're like,
it's so easy.
Validation, it's great. But like if you actually want to meet someone on there, you've got to just like just select a few. There are many people out there, like, believe it or not, who could be like a suitable partner for you. I just think figuring out your red flags, it's like figuring out your values. It's very important.
And your non-negotiables. That's what I call them. Yeah. Your non-negotiables. Because the thing is with dating is that compromise will be required. I definitely, when I became single a long time ago, I was definitely like, absolutely no compromise. Yeah. And then I realised, of course, there's going to be some compromise when it comes to, where are we going to eat tonight? I don't know. I choose tonight, you choose tomorrow. But then it's not compromising your beliefs and your values, and I call those the non-negotiables. You need things for you, whether that's a lifestyle thing, whether that's a belief thing, or whatever it is. I think it's good to have your non-negotiables. So can you tell me a bit about the process of writing your book and taking it offline? Because that's exactly what I did. I took my work offline that I was already doing and put it into a book with Women Don't Know You Pretty. Yeah. Did you learn anything about, because obviously you just completely pick apart and analyse these messages that you've been sent in, probably to a level that you never had done before. Yeah. How was the process of that for you, and did it change how you viewed what you were doing? When
I went in, I was like, relationships are bullshit. When I started writing this book, I think I'd just come out of like a big breakup. Yeah. I was like, the whole thing is bullshit. And that's what I pitched. And then they were like, we love it. just add on a few chapters on the end about how relationships can be good and how you're okay on your own. And I was like, oh, fucking Jesus Christ. All right, fine, I guess I'll do it. And like, it was actually really sweet. I learned a lot about like the relationships chapter. So it goes in like, it follows the stages of a relationship. It follows your personal journey as you download a dating app, go swiping, get on in a relationship, and then self-discovery, re-download the app. And I like...
Just when you're starting to heal and then...
You're just like, oh, I'm ready to get hurt again.
Yeah.
But the relationship chapter, I literally was like, I even wrote at the beginning, I'm just like, I can't really speak confidently about this because I'm not a fan of relationships and I'm also quite bad at them. But I asked...
Honest. We love it.
I asked my friends who were in great relationships and it was just really cute. And like, I learned a lot about... And now, God, maybe it was like this tool that like I went in feeling really shitty about them and now I'm just like, yeah, it's fine.
This is what I find really interesting is because people go on their own journeys while writing their books. That's why I wanted to ask you. And like nothing is more powerful than a woman after a breakup. Yeah. And I think breakups catalyse some of the best art created by people.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say the best hair, but best art as well.
Oh, yes, yeah. But breakups catalyse the best hair.
No, they really do. The art that is created is just incredible. Yeah. And it doesn't even have to be like eat, pray, love, self-discovery. You can just like, I drank a lot of Stella. I was just like vibing, and you just got to be on your own for a bit, which is great. And then
there's something so empowering about that wake of making a decision that you needed to make for a long time.
Exactly.
And I just relate a lot to that because it's basically my breakup completely. It was almost like soared me into the air because I no longer had all of this energy that was dragging me down.
It is so weird how you can feel different after different types of relationships. Like sometimes they put you through so much shit that by the time you end it, you literally do feel like you're flying. You're like, this is incredible. Whereas other ones, you feel like your arm's just been like cut off and you're like, what's it like? I was seeing this guy for like 3 weeks. What the fuck is happening here? And then you can be in a relationship for ages and be like,
situationships have ruined me.
Yeah.
More than more than relationships, which is a whole other thing.
You don't even get to say, it is a whole other thing.
I think it's a whole other thing because you never got to see it come to fruition. And so the idea of who they could have been always stays in your mind. So it's always
that's such a good point.
It's always the one that got away vibe, as opposed to I knew that they were an arsehole. You never got to see them become an arsehole.
Yeah,
so you've always got this polished, love-bombed version of them in your head.
Yeah,
and it's viewed as more of a loss.
Exactly.
That's one theory.
One way that I like to deal with that is go on their Instagram and like remind yourself like, they were not shit.
Thank you so much for talking with me today. We now are going to go on to my listener questions. So these are some things that people have sent in through my Instagram.
The blind leading the blind.
Yes, exactly. Unprofessional advice. That's what we call this section. Okay, so is it a red flag if he wants to keep your relationship a secret or is he just private?
Secret from who?
This is the thing. This needs context. Let's give it some context. Yeah. Let's say keep your relationship a secret on social media.
I think you've got to kind of like judge where they lie on the rest of it, because if they are very anti-social media and like, I don't know, if it was me, if they were like very into conspiracy theories, for example, I love a conspiracy boy, and they were just like really weird about that kind of thing, I would be like, this makes sense but
it's consistent.
It's consistent with the rest of your values. But if you are like on Instagram all the time, liking everyone's photos, like posting selfies and stuff, and then you want to keep it a secret, no. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
And it also depends. So I keep my dating life very private, but that's because of who I am.
Yeah.
So I keep my dating life private because I would never want someone I'm dating to be impacted by all the weird fucking shit that I go through on the internet, like people trying to find out where I live or stalking and all this kind of stuff. So for me personally, but again, that's a very niche problem. But someone like
maybe that's who sent it in.
Yeah.
At least they've got an explanation.
Yeah. Or is it a red flag if he wants to keep your relationship secret, or is he just private? Again, if he's keeping the relationship secret from family and friends and you've not met any of his friends, huge red flag. Okay, next question. Why do some guys only reply days later? Is it really that they're just not interested? Sometimes it could be a game.
Sometimes it could be a game. But if that pisses you off, there are guys who do text you on time, so just like sack him off.
Okay.
If it doesn't bother you. Like, also, I've not put this into words before, but I am a believer in like the kind of never zone before you've met in person. So if you've not met in person yet, like I just will be really busy and I don't like to like get really deep with a guy with whoever before we've met.
I love that. Never zone, no commitment.
Yeah, no commitment. And if you get really invested in a text conversation, like that's just a recipe for disaster, because like then you've got them on this pedestal. So I now just like keep it very light. So sometimes I am busy and I don't reply for a few days. But if it's reached a point where you're feeling like you want more communication from them, there is definitely someone out there, probably like not that even far away, that can do that, I would say.
I love that answer. Let's leave that there. Okay, let's have a look. Oh, a friend of mine is dating a guy who loves Jordan Peterson. Thinks women lose their value if they've slept with lots of guys, and even shamed her for sleeping with him, quote, too early. He's since apologised, but this is irredeemable in my opinion. How do I get her to stop ignoring the red flags? The irony of this is that he's the one who fucked her.
Yeah.
This guy has fucked his girlfriend and then shamed her for sleeping with him too early. What does he want?
That is just men, like, menning, like, in a certain, like... It's like such a typical, like it's not, I don't know how common that is, but it's really sad. But like the thing that's difficult is when like, because I'm assuming that whoever sent this in might have like tried talking to their friend about it. And like sometimes it is really difficult to get through to someone like that kind of language. Like it's not necessarily yet, but like if this person continues seeing him, like at a certain point it's going to become like a emotional safeguarding issue.
Absolutely.
Like it's not like a joke. Like
it doesn't make sense. Men want to fuck girls who are good in bed but then don't want them to have an experience.
The whole thing is a complete circus.
So the person's ended this question, how do I get her to stop ignoring the red flags? So again, I'm going back to Dr. Amani, who's a guest I had on this podcast, who deals with narcissistic abuse. And she said that the best way to help anyone out of an emotionally abusive relationship is not to criticise the partner, because what you'll do is force the person further towards their partner, because likely in a dangerous situation, they'll want to prove you wrong. They'll want to be like, no, I promise, he's good sometimes. Like, I want you to see why I'm with him. So when we criticise the partner too much, you can end up pushing them further away. And if they're dealing with an emotionally abusive person, the partner's likely already done a little smear campaign on you.
Yeah,
and said,
exactly.
She's just jealous, babe. She's just jealous. So then when you speak up, you feed into that narrative that you're just jealous. She's been single for ages. She probably is whatever. The method that Dr. Amani suggests is that you... talk about your friend's behaviour. Are you okay? I saw that. Are you okay? And pointing out, so you're validating their reality. If you see them say something onto their partner, you say, I saw that happen. Are you okay? Yeah. And you talk about how your friend's behaviour has changed.
That is so, but I never thought of it that way, but that is actually such a good way to go about it. Like, just talk to them about how they're feeling, because you know them at the end of the day. They know that you know how, when they're going through something, you can just talk to them about how they're feeling. It's
a bit like how your Instagram works to open women up to this, being brought it through humour. I think that we can help our friends by not talking directly about their situation, but by talking about a situation. And they're more likely to see it mirrored back and go, oh shit, that's happening to me. Yeah. Even bringing up something you saw online. I saw this thing about that they're more likely to reflect, instead of going, your partner is following Jordan Peterson, who says this and that makes him a complete misogynist. You start labeling the partner and they're gonna go, he's not a misogynist because he's read this book. He's not a misogynist because I'm a feminist, so he can't be a misogynist. Yeah. And then you basically, anytime you criticise your friend's partner, you make them become defensive and defending the partner who's hurting them. And it becomes quite sticky.
I've not thought about that before, but excellent
it's very sticky.
Excellent point. I will definitely be listening to that episode.
Okay, last question from a listener. If I have to beg my boyfriend for attention, am I needy or is there something wrong?
You are not needy. You have needs which are valid.
Yes.
You have needs which are valid, just like everyone has needs. Everyone has different needs. I feel like you can ask for your needs to be met, and if they then don't get met, then you're just with the wrong person.
You absolutely can ask for your needs to be met.
Yeah, you can ask, like, but that's the thing, I know it's scary. Like, I know that, like, there are so many situations that I've been in where if I had just asked, like, listen, like, I need more from this.
Sometimes we're afraid of the answer because we know they don't have it to give.
Yeah, exactly.
Or we're afraid of, sometimes we're afraid of saying what we need because we know they can't give it to us. And also, from personal experience, you're also then afraid of being further manipulated into squashing down your desires.
Yeah,
so I think when you open up that conversation with someone that, I mean, not being able to talk about your feelings is also a sign of you're probably not with the right person.
Yeah.
So if you bring something up, hey, I don't like it when you kind of come home late and I don't know when you're coming home. It makes me feel uneasy because I need to do this in the house. Or like you want to tell something and they go, well, am I supposed to account for all of my fucking time with you?
Yeah, exactly.
That's too much. You're being controlling. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. And then you're like, I just apologise for expressing myself. And I think that's a cycle that we can end up in, is expressing our needs and then having them shut down.
Exactly.
And if that's, I would say, try it once. And the second you find yourself apologising, you almost come around in this circle argument where you bring up your feelings and you go, oh, I'm sorry. The first time you do that, red flag.
Red flag. And it's like how much he's texting you and he's calling you needy. Like, the key is to just like get out, like, because it's gonna, like, if you've had this validation from him at one point and he's been texting you loads and it felt great and you want to get that back, but you are not gonna get it, and the longer you continue, the more it's gonna hurt. So it is gonna hurt when you cut them off and say, like, I'm not getting what you need from this. Like, it's gonna hurt for a bit, but like, that's fine. It's a human emotion. Like, you'll feel it. It will pass. But if you keep going in these things, it will just get worse. Like, the feelings will hurt you more. And it's worth, like, there are so many people out there, guys. I cannot stress it.
I think a lot of the time we cling to these situations or relationships with people because we're so afraid of walking into nothing. But nothing is better than emotional abuse.
Nothing is great.
And also, it's
nothing
not nothing.
Is
you're walking into your own arms. Hopefully, you have some friends who can be your support system.
Yeah.
And that is the place where you will find yourself. And
exactly. You have like a day in bed and you eat some crisps. Like, you will get, like, it'll be fine. But just like, if you ask for your needs to be met and they are not met, just, there is someone out there who can do it for you.
Oh my God, I love talking to Iona so much. It's been a while since I've spoke about the intricacies of dating men in this current climate. I think that most of my audience are likely feminists. And so one of the biggest traps that you don't really think to look out for are men who pretend to be feminists to get laid, particularly when you're at the start of your journey as well. And it can really break your trust when someone uses something that's so important against you. And obviously, while we've spoken so much about the dickheads that are out there are good men out there, but we do need to talk about the bad ones so that we can avoid them, because they're playing such a stealthy game and they're just becoming more and more evolved. The fuckboy hasn't changed. He's just evolved, and you should definitely check out Iona's Instagram. It's at Beam Me Up Softboi. And you can also check out her new book that's just published called Is This Love or Dopamine, which is incredible. It's so funny. I actually laughed out loud at almost every single page with the funny screenshots and her analysis of them.